All right, here we go. We're talking about number one. We're talking about the Psg Chapter 5 review packet. What a day. What a day. Let's get this thing going. We're talking about triangle types. Okay, triangle types. Remember, triangles can be classified by their sides or their angles. Okay. In this specific case, our first one's a scalene triangle. Scalene triangle is a type of triangle that's classified by its sides. All right, scalene triangles are sides without any, triangles without any congruent sides. A triangle with no congruent sides, that's letter D. Okay. Isosceles triangles. Isosceles triangles are also a type of triangle that you classify by its sides. These are all sides. These are all ways to classify by their angles. All right. So for isosceles, hopefully remember, it is a triangle with at least two congruent sides there. That's isosceles. Let's keep her going. Equilateral, 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 equilateral. All congruent sides. That's G. That's right. A right triangle. Now we're talking about classifying by its angles. All right. A right triangle should be a triangle with an angle measuring 90 degrees. An acute triangle, right? Remember, acute angle is any angle that's between 0 and 90. So acute triangles have all three angles that are less than 90 degrees. Obviously greater than 0, okay? Obtuse remember, an obtuse angle is an angle between 90 and 180. So an obtuse triangle is a triangle with an angle that is greater than 90, which is C. And last but not least, all congruent angles is B for equiangular. Equal angles. Blur. Let's keep going. Number 2, at least part A. Maybe I'll go through all number 2, at least part A. Here we go. We want to find X first. So remember that this little box means 90 degrees. All right. Remember, the sum of all angles in a triangle is 180. So I can do 3x plus 90 equals 180, which will give me 6x plus 90 equals 180. Wow. Which means 6x equals 90. Excuse me. So then x is 15. 15. So we're going to classify this triangle by its sides. Well, I see that there is 2 pairs of congruent sides. So that means it is, I'm going to see if I can, it is isosceles because it has 2 congruent sides. Yet there's a right triangle here, or excuse me, a right angle. So it is a right triangle. So technically this is an isosceles right triangle. By its sides, it's isosceles. By its angles, it is right. I'm going to keep going with number 2. Okay. Number 2, if we look here, again, we need to find x. Sum of the angles is 180. So I'm going to go 2x minus 60 plus 1/2 x plus 30 plus x equals 180. Combined by like terms, 2x plus 1/2 plus 1. So that's 3.5x, I'll do minus 30 equals 80. I got negative 60 and positive 30. Add the 30 to the other side. 3.5x equals 210. I think this is going to be 60. Sure is. X divide 210 by 3.5. I get 60. So if I look by its sides, all 3 sides are congruent. That tells me it is equilateral. Boom. If I classify by its angles, well, if this is 60, okay, and if I plug in 60 here, 2 times 60 is 120 minus 60 is 60. Well, if those two are 60, this last one has to be 60. So it's equiangular. So it's an equilateral / equiangular triangle. And to be honest, this is always going to happen. If it's equilateral, it's going to be equiangular. It's always going to be true. And I don't like to say always, but that is always going to be true. Don't quote me on that, but you can quote me on that. Oh, well, okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay. Wow. Let's solve for x in this one. All right. Solving for x. X plus 3x plus x minus 20 equals 180. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5x minus 20 equals 180. Combine my like terms. I'm going to add the 20 to the other side. 5x equals 200. So then x equals 40. 40. All right. By its sides, you'll see that all three sides have different tick marks. So that tells me that all three sides are not congruent, which makes it a scalene triangle. To classify by its angles, I'm going to plug in x. So if I plug in x here, I get 120 degrees. Well, I can stop there. If that angle is 120, okay, then I got this is 40 degrees, and this would be 20 degrees. If this angle is 120, that is an angle that's greater than 90 degrees. So that tells me right away that this is an obtuse triangle. Okay, obtuse. Here we go. Last problem of this video. Let's solve for x, and then we're going to classify this triangle. This problem uses the base angle theorem. Okay, the base angle theorem. If you remember what that means is if I have two congruent sides like this, then the angles opposite them are also going to be congruent. Okay? If I have two congruent sides, and the angles opposite of those sides will also be congruent. If I look back here, look at that. Here's two congruent sides. These two angles were congruent. It was true here. I just didn't talk about it. Well, it's definitely true here, okay, and we have to use that fact. So if angle A is congruent to angle C, then that tells me that x squared minus 6x equals 55. And if that's true, I got to bring the 55 to the other side. Minus 55 equals 0. So I can factor. I need two numbers that multiply to negative 55 and add to negative 6. So those two numbers are 11 and 5. So that tells me that x equals 11 and x equals negative 5. Now the question is, which one works, or do they both work? All right, so if I plug in 11, here, all right, so I got 11 squared minus 6 times 11. So 11 squared is 121 minus 66. I believe that's going to give us 55, and it sure does. So 11 checks out. So I'll put 11 up here. At 11. All right. How about negative 5? I think negative 5 will probably check out too. Just a guess. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 6 times negative 5 gives me positive 30 degrees. So that also checks out. So both x values check out here. If I were to classify this triangle by its sides, I see that I have two congruent sides. So that tells me that this is isosceles. Classified by its angle, well, I know that this is 55 and this is 55. So 180 minus 55 gives me 70 degrees here. I'll write that down. 180 minus 55 gives me 70. All three angles are less than 90 degrees. So that's an acute triangle. All right, that's going to be it for this video. We'll pick up with the next one. Adios.